with us, and thank you for reconnecting and coming back in the fold. Lulu, yeah, do you guys just do a quick intro round? Do you want to introduce yourselves, what you do, just so it adds a bit more context to the masterclass, and I can maybe tailor it around kind of you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, you go first, Lulu, because you're here first.
So I'm the head of sales for Binumi, which is a video platform. We are an enterprise SaaS solution, so it's B2B, B2B2B. We don't target consumers at all, because it's a massive video platform full of content, 15 million videos, and music, 9,000 tracks. It's all rights cleared. And the concept being that our clients utilize us in the first instance to create a stream of purpose type template videos, and then they slowly take over and build their own videos and start building at scale. So it's about scaling your video to the messaging that you actually require. And it's a whole a digital asset management system for permission levels and use cases, so that you can obviously integrate across your business. There can be a full integration with them, you working with a third party, be it clients, customers, whatever. So that's us.
Great. Fabiana?
That's cool. So I am a freelance creative director in advertising and branding, and I work as a contractor. So I work like 3 months contract, 6 months contract, and the reason I'm here is because I'm thinking, well, I've been doing this long enough. Maybe I should do my own thing. And I've got a huge network of people that I can put together teams depending on the client's requirements, anything to do with their communications, say advertising, branding, anything, from their marketing department. So I'm thinking it's time for me to do my own thing, go totally solo and deal with clients directly rather than work for agencies. Be my own agency in a way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fabiana. Great. It's good to just put a bit of context there. So we've got the video tool from Lulu and the creative kind of agency side from Fabiana. It's great to have that kind of wealth of experience with us. So I'm going to just share my screen. We're going to go through a quick kind of like a slide deck presentation, probably for about 20 minutes or so. I'll kind of blast through it as quick as I can. Feel free to pop your hand up if you've got any questions. Interrupt me, that's fine at any time. I can add clarity or explore it, issue it a bit more. But on the agenda, we've basically got, I'll do a quick introduction overview. We're going to look at building a targeted network on LinkedIn, connecting with the right people, engaging with your network, leveraging something called LinkedIn groups. Not a lot of people know about LinkedIn groups. It's not been hugely popular, but I think it's on the rise, and certainly LinkedIn are doing a lot of investment with their groups. So and then at the end, we'll just have a bit of an open forum. So hopefully we'll be done by 9:45. I'm happy to stick around for another 15 minutes or so. I think I've got a 10 o'clock. So let's dive straight in. So this masterclass, we're looking at kind of building out a powerful network on LinkedIn, kind of how you can increase your influence and use that to your advantage to generate more leads, or even build a personal brand. Having that strong network on LinkedIn, that's going to be really key to helping you to achieve your goals in business. So we're going to look at that this morning. Obviously, bit of intro about me. Alex Smith, I'm the founder of Leadith. Leadith is a bit like a powerful lead generation accelerator and community that exists to support business achieve their sales goals through automating their lead generation efforts. So I've got a proprietary bit of software that I use to do that. I think both of you guys have been on demo calls previously, so you're kind of fully aware of kind of the power of that. Often in these lead generation masterclasses, I talk about the marketing models. So this is the classic funnel marketing model. Just gives us a bit of awareness in terms of what we're doing and what our efforts on LinkedIn are all trying to achieve. So awareness, top of the funnel, thousands of leads coming into the top there. And as you see, each stage, the funnel gets narrower and narrower. So those leads are being qualified. Some are not going to be relevant to us. Some are going to be relevant and go down the funnel all the way to that purchase or retention. And that's where people are buying from you and you're retaining them as loyal customers. That's the goal. So there's a more modern version of this. It's called the flywheel effect. And that's where we attract clients at the top there. We engage with them. We then delight them, where we kind of exceed their expectations, provide them with a fantastic experience. And then they become advocates for our brand even. So they tell all their friends and invite more people into the mix, which attracts more people. So it's a full cycle once it kicks off. I think I've probably shown this diagram with both of you. This is the kind of Leader Pro roadmap. So this is the journey we take people on, right the way from, finding the target audience, priming their LinkedIn profile, creating the outreach automation, engaging with emails as well. There's this whole video content element bit. Great to see if maybe I can use some of Lulu's tools and stuff. I don't know whether that would kick in at all, but it'd be great to explore that maybe at the end. So video content is a powerful, social media, you look at different types of posts that you put out there, video has a really high engagement rate, and it probably always will. We've got appointment setting. That's all about creating the systems in the back end, linking it all together, making sure it's friction-free, just people can just easily book in with you, have a reminder, and then you can follow up on the back of that meeting. So it's incorporating it with CRMs as well. So a quick stat. So LinkedIn currently has over 875 million members currently, and that's in 200 companies. LinkedIn actually turns 20 years old today. So it's quite incredible. It's it's come on leaps and bounds. Now I wanted to just do a little bit of an extra piece that I've put into the slideshow. Where are you right now? So this is a question that you need to ask yourself when you start building out that powerful LinkedIn network. That kind of horizontal green line there can represent a spectrum right the way from broad to a narrow appeal. So on the left side of the line, obviously it's much harder to kind of make money and it's harder to get attention. Whereas on the right side of the line, we've got this narrow appeal, which refers to content or our specific services or products. They're much more specialized and aimed at a specific audience or niche. And then there's kind of like three different categories. So we've got a broad, under the broad appeal there, we've got influencers, they're influencers like the, let's just have a look at my notes here. So yeah, for example, for me, I could be an influencer in the whole LinkedIn. That's pretty broad. It's going to appeal to anyone that's using LinkedIn, but it's not probably where I should be focusing my efforts. Whereas if I move down that line, I can set myself apart as a bit of an expert. So I could say, right, I've got a sales skill set. So I want to combine that sales skill set with LinkedIn. And then I'm kind of more expert, appealing to a more narrower audience there. And then you've got a niche, which is right the way at the right side there. And it could be industry specific. So I've used the tech sector, for example. So it could be selling on LinkedIn for a tech specific industry. So have a think about kind of where you sit on that line, because that kind of really makes the difference. Once you know your kind of the audience that you're going to be positioning yourself for, that will help. So Lulu, for you, I think you're obviously in the video space. Where would you be kind of pitching yourself and your services with that kind of the tools that you provide?
Yeah, I think both myself and Fabiana are niche, as in we're selling on LinkedIn for I'm certainly selling in for a B2B tech sector, but more in probably from a social, so agencies that need to increase their revenues through video, we slot in there perfectly. And then direct to clients, it's not tech sector specific, it could be any sector. So that's where the problem lies for me. It's like, where do you pinpoint, right?
Yeah and that's the whole part of this process. It's kind of exploring it, and once you've kind of niched down, you'll see it starts to work for you really efficiently, because you're not going after the big general broad, a lot of them are time wasters, and it's probably not going to be relevant to them. Whereas if you can get right in with that audience who you need to be in front of, you're going to get a higher level of connection acceptance rates, which is what we want to see, and better engagement, because they're your audience. How about you, Fabiana?
Yeah. Well, my first I thought first expert, because I can pretty much work with any business, but because you become a victim of your own success, because I've had successes in with FMCG and financial services, like banks, clients in agencies. When you look at my portfolio, there's a skew, there is I've done more work for one particular category or two or three, and then you do become niche, but just for circumstances where I have the knowledge and the expertise and the experience to work with any kind of business. But when it comes to proving it, the work that I've done is very niche. Well, it's not very niche, but it's niche.
Yeah, and that will kind of set you apart as an authority, and attract more people, as you've got case studies that are kind of niche specific. So yeah, it helps. Great. So that's just a bit of a talking point there. Let's move on to kind of building out that targeted network on LinkedIn. So now we understand the importance of kind of niching down and focusing on kind of becoming an expert in one area. We'll look at how to kind of build that network. So the first step is to identify who your kind of ideal connections are. So we think about this as maybe a target audience who would be most interested in your specific area of expertise. So that might be, business owners, it could be industry leaders, professionals in a specific field. Once we've got a clear idea of who that ideal connection is, then we can start to search for them on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn has quite a few advanced search features. So you're probably familiar with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That's a really powerful tool that allows us to filter down by specific job titles, industries, locations, and number of employees in the business, of some quite specific filters. And when we use those filters, that really helps us to kind of narrow down that search and find the right people that we want to put in the top of that funnel, who are most likely to be interested in your specific area of expertise, whatever that might be. So once we've identified those target audience and target connections, it's all about engaging with them. And one effective way to do that is sharing content. So having a content strategy is really key. This could include articles, blog posts, or even kind of your own original content that you're putting out there. A lot of people have already got this stuff. They've got this content. They've had a website for a few years. They've been blogging. And it's kind of just repurposing that and putting it in front of that specific audience. That's going to help you to start to build credibility and establish yourself as an expert, in your industry or in your niche. Another effective way to build a really targeted LinkedIn network is to participate in LinkedIn groups. So right at the end of the masterclass, we're going to explore groups, and I'll show you kind of some of the stuff that I've been working on as well, and LinkedIn events as well. So it's all about adding value. You got to think, when you hit that post button on LinkedIn, every single bit of content you're putting on there, you got to think, is this adding value to my specific audience? Because that's the ultimate aim here. When you're sharing your insights and your expertise, add value. Don't be afraid to reach out to people directly and ask them to connect with you. A lot of people kind of shy away from it. Some people I've met people and they've said, "Oh, I only connect with people I've physically met in person on LinkedIn," and it kind of closes their network a little bit. So they have quite a small network. Whereas when you start to connect with people on LinkedIn, that's going to help you to kind of build that audience that you can then nurture in the long term. And when you introduce things like LinkedIn newsletters, that's going straight out to that audience. So there's lots of ways of doing this. Position yourself as an expert. So I tend to, I'm kind of more of down the general approach, and it's only till recently I realized, I need to kind of refine what I'm doing to appeal to the right sorts of people. Because I was just like, if they're on LinkedIn, they're a good client for me. B2B is where I need to be. But 4 little tips here. Establish your authority in your posts. So your audience is always going to be looking for information that's going to help them. So provide value in that content, offer information that's going to help them, add something positive or help them to take something negative away from their lives. So you're going to be seen as that expert, and you need to start to position yourself as the go-to authority on that specific field or chosen subject area. So by regularly posting this kind of valuable content, you're going to start to build loyal fans, and these people are going to start to potentially become your customers and ambassadors in the future. So it's all about kind of building that out. Again, even when you're posting little comments, think about how you can add value in the comments. Okay, so some comments might go out to a larger following, so it could be another influencer who's posted on there. If you comment on that post, that's going to set you apart. And if you can showcase that you're adding more value into it, in your specific knowledge or in the field where you're doing it in a friendly and conversational way, that's going to really help to further kind of build that loyal following and introduce more connections to you. Social proof of your expertise. So LinkedIn's got a powerful platform to leave testimonials and reviews, and you can also request testimonials and reviews, and LinkedIn calls them recommendations. So that's a powerful tool to just to help you as an experienced professional in your industry, just to get that proof of those existing relationships that you've built up. So very powerful, and will help other people in their journey, kind of considering you as a potential person to do business with. Making yourself available to your audience. So being present on LinkedIn. I mean, a lot of people these days have been doing LinkedIn lives, and that's, a set time where they're showing up for their audience. And that can be a really good way to create those relationships and turn those kind of business relationships into long-term clients. That's what we're hoping to achieve here. So when you start to establish yourself, you're seen as someone who's very reliable, knowledgeable, and expert in your industry. And it really starts to kind of set you apart from some of your competitors who may not be doing this yet. So keep an eye on DMs, direct messages, because people will start to connect with you when they're following your content and strategies. So when we actually talk about kind of connecting with people, we need to be targeting the network and connecting with the right sorts of people. Some of this is vital, because you got to think about who you're connected with right now. So some people have already got a huge network on LinkedIn, but it could be from a previous job role or something else where that it's just not relevant anymore. So you might have to even go through a process of disconnecting from a lot of people if your network's reaching that limitation of, I think it's about 25 or 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. So if you've got a fairly large network, you're kind of capping your potential or capping your opportunities by connecting with a lot of people. One thing that I do is I actually don't allow people to connect with me unless they've got my email address. So I think they can only connect with me if they know my personal email address. And that really gives me full control then over who connects with me. So that's just one little strategy that I've used. So it means you're not growing your network as fast as you could, because you're limiting out a lot of it. But it's all about quality, not quantity. That's the key thing. Think about connecting with industry leaders and other influencers in your sector. So these are people who are going to be well known, respected in your specific industry, and that will help you to establish credibility, get your name out there, engage with their content. Comment on their posts and share their content, and start to build a relationship with them. And that's going to help you to kind of farm off some of their loyal fans. You can also connect with people who are in complementary industries, or niches. That can work quite well. So they might be people who are not exactly your ideal client, but they can still refer business to you. So often we do a bit of piece around creating campaigns for what we call strategic partners. So someone who could constantly refer work to you. So think about, what one person has referred you other clients recently. I mean, for me, it's business coaches. So business coaches will recommend their clients to me. So I might do a campaign just targeting business coaches and consultants, purely on the grounds that I know that that's going to help me with numbers. So when it comes out to actually reaching out to people and connecting with them, Make sure we're personalizing our messages. So I've got a few notes here. Have a think about what people's pain points are. So this is about, trying to get to the root problems that they might be having. And when your content talks about their pain points, they're gonna listen up and be wanting to know what you have to help them with this pain point. So that's a really good strategy. So what solutions are you providing to help them? So have a think about, how you can kind of position your solutions to their point to solve their pain points and problems, and that really helps. Yeah. So probably about I've been on LinkedIn for a number of years, probably 9 or 10 years now, or more, I think. And I've been collecting. Like, I had an approach where I was just connecting with anyone. My network was growing pretty rapidly, and then obviously as different roles change, I kind of did a role for the FSB, the Federation of Small Business. I was connecting locally with lots of small businesses in my local area. So if they were local to me, I connected with them. And then I kind of moved roles and had a different position. So my network is kind of quite mixed and quite varied. But one of the best campaigns that I tend to run and tend to set up for people is a first degree nurture campaign. So this is going out to your existing connections who, you might have been connected with 3 or 4 years ago from a different role or a different business. And what you can do is you can say, hey, I'm now doing this. Could this be of interest to you? And you can filter that down a little bit on that first degree connection just to get to the decision maker. But that yielded some really good results for me. I mean, I think my last 3 clients came out of that back in December when I over the new year, I ran a campaign just to up to date all my clients with a new service that I was providing. So that works really well. Obviously, LinkedIn's network will allow you to connect with at least 100 per week new prospects. I'm actually pushing around about 200 out at the moment per week. So if you're not using any automation tools to connect with people, you're kind of restricting how big your network can currently grow. Obviously, there's a connection rate. Mine's around about 30%. It's been higher in the past, but it fluctuates a little bit. So out of those 200 people that you're connecting with each week, you can only expect about 30 of them to come back to you and start to be added to your network. So if you do the maths and work out, on a monthly basis, that's potentially quite a lot of leads that are coming into you. So when you start to automate that whole process, it takes the stress, it takes the time away, and just gives you a bigger network to work with in the future for other campaigns that you might want to run. So engagement is key. I confess I'm really poor at the engagement piece here. But you may have come across something called the Social Selling Index on LinkedIn. That's basically all to do with the algorithm that runs in the background of LinkedIn. You can find it by going to linkedin.com/sales/SSI. And what it does, it gives you a rating out of 100%. It's made up of 4 key component areas: establishing your professional brand, finding the right people, engaging with insights, and then building relationships. So a lot of these things like establishing a professional brand, that's purely just filling out your profile, making sure it's as complete as it can be. Finding the right people is doing those searches quite regularly and connecting with the right people. Building relationships is through all your messaging and that sort of stuff. But engaging with insights is one of my lowest score because I struggle because that's a manual task. You've got to go out there, be on the platform, put yourself out there, and it does take time to kind of do that bit. But the SSI score just gives you an understanding of where you're currently at in your industry. So I think I'm in the marketing services industry, so it puts me as in the top 1%, which is quite nice. And then out of the whole network, so out of my 9,400 odd connections, I'm in the top 3% in terms of what I'm doing with LinkedIn. So it's a good little stat. It updates every I think it's on a rolling weekly basis, or it could be a monthly basis. But it's useful to track that. So as you start to put content out there, so just wanted to share that with you if that's of help. So a few tips about kind of how to engage with your audience and with your network. The easiest way is asking questions. So asking what about industry trends, specific challenges, opportunities that might be going on in your industry. Asking a question is a great way to just spark that conversation. and then get people talking. And that's what we want to do. We want to create that engagement. Obviously, yeah, valuable content is vital. So if you've got any industry news, tips, tricks, thought leadership pieces that you want to put out there, that tends to work really well. Polls work really well on LinkedIn. So a lot of engagement, video is good, but if you haven't got the budget to create videos all the time and put that video content out there, then polls are a nice, easy way to still have a lot of engagement and a lot of chat. It's very easy. People can just say yes or no, and then away they go. So the simpler you keep the poll, the better. So the yes/no polls tend to work really effectively. So yeah, try it. Create a poll this week, put it out there, and see how your network responds to it. Liking, commenting on posts. So obviously when you do your comments, yeah, try to put a bit more meat in there. So 10 words or more, that will help with the whole algorithm. So just a simple like and a comment saying, yeah, that's great, or whatever, that's probably not doing much. It's not adding value. So think about how you can add value, take that conversation to another level. I don't know if you've come across this, but there's things called pods. Pods are basically groups of people. So it could be, I have a networking group, and it could be everyone in that networking group shares a post on LinkedIn, and then everyone else in the group will like and comment on that post. And what that does is it kind of artificially gets a lot more traction. So when a post has, 5 or 6 comments, the algorithm is going to work harder to push it even harder. It's kind of that kind of snowball effect. So pods, there's a few bits of software out there. Lempod is one, Lempod. There's also another Chrome extension that you can use. Some of them you have to subscribe to, a few pounds a year or whatever. But they allow you to connect with like-minded people in your industry. So, and then they even automate the whole process of putting the comments out there. So you put a post out there onto this pod, and then all the other people in that pod, in that network, will like it and comment on it to artificially ramp it up. I'm not a huge advocate of pods. I kind of think it's tricking the system a little bit too much. So it doesn't sit nicely with me ethically, but certainly a lot of people are doing it. If you're open to new things and new ways of trying things, and then have a look at that.
Excuse me, Alex.
Yeah.
On that, I'm in this group, WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And because it's obviously very discussional, because that's the point of it. One of the leaders actually said, I've just published this, my kind of like his share on LinkedIn. Can you go and like it? So he's actually being ethical about it in a slightly way, which is really nice, because obviously then if you feel connected to that one person, you obviously make the effort, you go over to LinkedIn, you like, but you can then write a comment because we're part of the discussion. So you add valuable content. So it actually helps you, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, I tend to do it. I'm a bit choosy, but yeah, we've set one up with the business coaching group that I'm in. There's about 70 people in that group. So I wouldn't be all day liking everybody else's, but certainly, if it's relevant, I'll like it. And from time to time, I might put something out there to help the group. So yeah, if it's a bit more closed and you've got a bit more control over it, then yeah, that's fine. But certainly kind of random people just based on industry or whatever. And yeah, it doesn't quite sit nicely with me, but yeah. So reaching out to individuals. So don't be afraid to reach out to individual members in your network to start that conversation. And that could be to kind of congratulate them on a recent accomplishment, or as I say, that's going to help to build those deeper relationships. Giving recommendations. Often LinkedIn notifications is a great place to start. It will say such and such's birthday. Have a message that you can, get back out to them, and it just might start the conversation. Always look at their profile first, because just to remind yourself to make sure it's relevant and make sure they are a good fit for you. LinkedIn groups. So LinkedIn groups is a great way to encourage like-minded professionals. I think LinkedIn kind of identified that their groups was not really hugely used. The features and just what it did, it wasn't a great sense of community. And I think LinkedIn have actually been they're actually working on a lot of investment in this area of groups now, to really try and pull back a bit of market share from Facebook groups and things. I think Facebook groups are kind of, I don't know, I've not used too many Facebook groups, but the idea is to kind of make it more a greater sense of community, to encourage better engagement in those groups. So keep your eye out on LinkedIn groups. Now's probably the best time to start your own LinkedIn group to try and bring that audience together as well. Be a pioneer, an early adopter of the technology. And the sixth thing is all about LinkedIn messaging. So connect, follow up, and engage. Remember not to sell. So this is, don't promote your own business. It's just about building those genuine relationships and establishing yourself as a kind of very valuable member of a community. So in those messages, some great tips. Now, leveraging LinkedIn groups. So this is the kind of coming into land almost here. This final section, we'll look at just how we can leverage these LinkedIn groups. So these are basically online communities, if you're not familiar with it, where professionals, people of a similar interest or background, they can connect together, share ideas, and discuss industry-related topics. And the groups are there's probably a group out there for every kind of niche or every specific industry interest that's going on. So it's a great way to connect with people who kind of share your same passions. So some six tips to leverage LinkedIn groups. Then we can dive into some a little demo, which is what I've been doing with LinkedIn events. So join relevant groups. Start by searching for relevant groups with your interests, your industries, and then just join them. It takes 2 or 3 days for the administrator to accept you into those groups. But the more you join now, if you ever kind of get started with Leadif, that gives you more of an opportunity to then target people within those groups. So even if you're not overly present yet in the group, just start joining them. That's the first step, is just to join as many as you can. And when I'm talking about groups, look for groups of a considerable size. So 200 plus is what I tend to look for. The smaller ones, they just haven't got the traction yet. But if they're super niche and super relevant, add them as well, because it's not about the numbers, it's the quality. So engage with the group members. So within LinkedIn, you can actually engage with a group member. So you don't have to connect with them, even if they're not in your first degree network yet. You can still engage with group members, which is why this is a powerful way of connecting with people, because you've got that common thing. You're both members of the group, so that kind of unites you. Remember to provide value. Again, same principles as connecting with people kind of outside of the groups on the LinkedIn platform. It's all about adding that value. So whether it's a link to a powerful resource or something that you might have created or found online, just make sure there's value in it. Being consistent. So I've got a kind of weekly routine Trello board, which tells me all the things I need to do. So I'll add that as a task on one of the quieter days. Just check out that group, add one little post or copy and paste something in there. I've actually got a 13-week social media cycle, and then I start to recycle a lot of that content after the 13 weeks, and that works really well, because then you've got a bit of work getting it all started initially, but once you hit the week 14, you've kind of got it all made for you, and you can just kind of regurgitate all that content, and it works quite effectively doing that. Obviously, trends change, and there's kind of notable events that happen in the world, and if you want to kind of mix it up by throwing those in there, then you can do that as well. Be respectful, adhere to the LinkedIn policies and rules, and be professional in all your interactions with other group members. Again, to try to remember to avoid that self-promotion, focus on trying to add values to the group. Nothing worse than somebody just going straight in with a sales pitch in those groups. It's just not courteous at all. Again, creating your own group. So as I was saying, I think LinkedIn are going to be doing quite a bit of work. I've seen a lot of rumors on the internet around kind of LinkedIn groups and what they're hoping to achieve. There's a free resource which you can access on LinkedIn. I'll share a link in the chat. Zoom chat's disappeared on me. There it is. Now, this is a PDF that LinkedIn have actually produced. It's got a checklist for planning a successful LinkedIn group in there. So you can download that. It's about 6 or 7 pages, but I found it quite useful to get some ideas if you're thinking about creating that group, and answer the checklists. That will help you. Great. So that's kind of a few top tips there on kind of putting yourself out there on LinkedIn today. So thanks for joining me on the masterclass, and kind of be great to hear from you guys what your biggest takeaways were. obviously in today's world, your network is your net worth. And LinkedIn provides this incredible opportunity so you can expand your network and grow and grow your influence. So hopefully by following some of these strategies, that will help you. I'd love to share with you one strategy that I've just started, and that's cashing into other people's network. So people that have gone all the way to create and find an audience, and they've put on an event on LinkedIn. I'd love to show you a quick strategy around, what I've done to try and harness other people's efforts, marketing efforts, and then just kind of fill my diary with the right interested types of people, if you've got time. But yeah, what's a quick takeaway from the session today? It'd be great to hear from you, Fabiana.
First of all, I think the session was great, very succinct and full of useful tips, which I like. I think there were lots of takeaways, but I think the main thing is get started, really.
Yeah, take action.
Which is the hardest. And also, I think adding value is the main thing. Do the work beforehand, the preparation, rather than spray and pray. Be targeted, think who you want to target, how you're going to add value. And perhaps, I really like the fact that you said you've got like a 14-week, because obviously to me, feels like it's a big job, but it doesn't have to be done at once. 14 weeks is what, 4 months?
Yeah, so I log into my Trello board just to show you how it's working out. I
really like that because that seems achievable.
Yeah, it very much is. So if we go to my workspace, I've created a social media schedule in Trello. So I have a bin here, which is where I put in little things that I might do.
Nice. Okay.
Monday is very much about thought leadership. So I'll put on basically a quote, create these in Canva. So a lot of them look very similar, and then just put them out. So these are industry leaders, if they're relevant. Some I can, pull them out of masterclasses that I've previously done and add them in. Tuesdays, I do a testimonial Tuesday. So each week I basically do a pull off a LinkedIn review, screenshot, highlight elements in it, and put the post out. And then within that actual Trello board, often I'll write in the description any hashtags that I want to add to the social media post. So that's a really good way of having a strategy. Like here, we've got a bit of text about what I'll do. I've got my hashtags, so I can literally just copy and paste and go, which takes, if you use any social media scheduling software, that takes a lot of the pressure off. So you've got content that's constantly going out on a cycle. I don't actually work on a Wednesday, so I don't bother putting anything out on a Wednesday because it's my kind of day off and do a 4-day week. But Thursday is all about that engagement creator. So whatever that might look like, I tend to do highlights from the masterclasses. So literally chop up the video into a 30-second short form video content. But there's loads of other stuff that you can do there. And then my Fridays tend to be a start pitching for the next masterclass the next week. So my kind of weekly moment, my gathering point where I get people is going to be the Tuesday morning sessions, and kind of build everything up towards that. It makes selling a lot easier because I'm not actually selling my services. I'm just kind of selling the masterclass and getting people to the free masterclass, which takes the burden of having to sell anything off your mind. When you do that, when you follow that sort of strategy. But yeah, that's what's worked quite well with me. Saturday and Sunday, you can also put in some personal stuff, and that's fine. That's more than accepted on the network. It's people buy from people. It is who you are. It's, it adds a bit of shape to it. But yeah, that's kind of what I do in terms of kind of social media. Once you've built that cycle out, it's just so easy to then kind of recycle that content each week. Lulu, how about you?
I think the groups is a massive tip, which I didn't know about. So I will definitely join some groups in preparation of leveraging whatever comes with Leadeth. And I think I'm going to give you not a sales tip, but the Friday posting. You talked about I think you should call it LinkedIn jacking.
LinkedIn jacking, hijacking.
Exactly, because you know about, like news jacking.
Yeah.
What you were talking about is kind of, that's what it said to me. It's LinkedIn jacking. I think it's a
Yeah.
really nice, something you can talk with authority. So it's a master
Okay,
tag.
I've written that down, so I might play around with that idea.
I've written that down as well. I'm gonna use that somehow. I love the name.
So there you go. That's my free tip back. I think
Yeah.
I'm loving the holistic, attract, engage, delight, advocate. It's funny because there's quite a few agencies now that are actually using advocate as a sort of sales.
Yeah.
That's in advocacy, right? I'm targeting them just because what I see is if the agencies are really agile of mind, they'll understand this disruptive videos can create much more purpose. Therefore, you can on-sell and create more revenue for your clients. So I'm looking at performance agencies, advocacy agencies, transformational type agencies to kind of to bring on clients onto the platform. That's quite interesting. I love holistic things like that. I think it's really, really interesting. I'm going to look at you talked about Lempod, a Chrome extension you can use. I'm going to look at that.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
Yeah, just to see what they're doing, really. I looked at my SSI score and I'm literally 1 point below you on everything, which is
well done. You're pretty active then.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, because
Sure.
I'm like, is it 2% industry rank, network 4%?
What's your overall score, Lulu?
What's the overall score? Where's that? Is that at the top?
Out of 100, the big score in the circle.
72. You're
72. Yeah, it's only a couple. Yeah. So obviously when I years ago, 2 years ago, I was in the high 80s. But I think that social selling index score is a very old metric, and I think they're working on completely revamping it now to make it more relevant because the platform's moved on over the years. But I tend to just use it as a bit of a benchmark when new people come to me and they say, it gives me an understanding of how active they are basically on LinkedIn and what's possible, the size of their network.
Active, to be honest with you. So I'm interested to know that makes me active. Does it 72?
Yeah, well, you're obviously accessing the platform daily and you're conversing with people and doing all the sort of things you should be doing. Yeah. Have you got time for a quick hack on LinkedIn events?
Yeah.
Okay, this will take 5 minutes. I just want to share it with you. So basically, LinkedIn events, you can search for something like I search for LinkedIn lead generation or LinkedIn training. There's a course here which was run by a company called Maverick. They are purely about LinkedIn training. Worth sitting on the courses. I get a bit of my content from them as well. But they don't actually provide a software solution like I do. So they're very different have a very different offering. They're more about training. But obviously they've spent, hundreds on getting attendees to their events already. So they've done the marketing spend. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It's people that are interested in building their personal brands on LinkedIn. So, if they can automate a lot of that process with me, then it's fair game, So 795 prospects, you click on those guys. A lot of them are second-degree connections, third-degree connections. But because I attended the event as well, I get to see all these people. Yeah. So if you say you're attending the event, you don't even have to show up. But I actually did on this one. So this is basically a LinkedIn search URL. And now on the back of this LinkedIn event, I can start connecting with these people with a campaign. So I'll just share how the campaign looks. Personal branding event. Still early days, 52% so far of accepted connection requests, which is pretty high. And I'm getting a pretty decent reply rate on the back of that campaign. In terms of what that campaign looks like, so we start off with a profile view. So view their profile. And then if we're connected to them already, just send a follow-up nurture message. For me, it looks a little bit like this. I see you also attended the personal branding event on LinkedIn by Maverick last week. What was your biggest takeaway? So yeah, and then if I've not connected with them, it's a great opportunity to start connecting with them. So that's how I kind of am using other people's marketing really to then build out my network. And that works in the same way as LinkedIn groups. For this particular one, I've actually sent a personalized video message, which I may have shown you these before, but just show you what they look like.
This is what engaged me actually when I saw you on a video.
Ah, yes, yeah. So this is quite powerful. So if we have a look at those that have replied, here we go. Let's just go into this one, just to show you the LinkedIn message flow. Message, yeah. So basically sends down. I mean, this is one of the event organizers, as it happens, but yeah, it sends the personal URL, which they can then click on, a video of their profile page, and me talking over the top of the video for 30 seconds, explaining. My name's Alex, and I'm just looking through your LinkedIn profile. I noticed recently attended an event on personal branding. Yeah, so it's kind of speaking to them, but it is a generic video. So yeah, that works really well, and helps people to click the button and then come along to a masterclass. That's the idea with that campaign. So yeah, that's the sort of thing we'll do. Create these kind of little mini campaigns and kind of leverage other audiences.
LinkedIn jacking, that's what you do, mate.
LinkedIn jacking. Yeah.
That's what you do. No, I love I'm just trying to think of I can't remember his name, but have you seen the book Newsjacking?
No, I haven't.
Oh, the guy that wrote it, I know I used to work with him. And I love even though I can't remember his name, which is hilarious. And I love that whole concept, because now we all do it to a certain degree, right? But it's I'm trying to find the book. David. Oh God, I can't remember. Anyway, you'll find it, I'm sure. Art and Science of Injecting Your Ideas into a Breaking News Story. So really, he was selling it on the back of, whenever you follow a target, that target posts something, you can then use that. So you can, going back to your system, of engagement, you can now add and build on top of, because it's relevant to you. So make sure you're following the right people to help you build that engagement with
adding value. I feel like I need to be wearing a red jumper today for some reason.
Yeah, you didn't get the memo. It's spring. It's a spring color.
It must be the color of the year or something, is it? I'm out with fashion trends. I've got my Leadeth t-shirt on, but yeah. Great. Happy to stick around till 10, 5 more minutes. But you guys, I'm kind of done on the masterclass. I'll stop the. Thank you for joining me on this week's masterclass. So next week, what have we got in store? We've got I'll be sharing my top tips on finding prospects using LinkedIn basic searches, LinkedIn group searches. We're also going to look at LinkedIn events again. And I'm going to actually dive into a tool called Apollo.io. That's an email marketing tool. And as a free bonus, I'm going to show you how to use the Leadeth Prospect Finder tool. So that's a tool built into the Leadeth software, which will help you to get more prospects. So hope you found this live really helpful. Fantastic to have you with us and watching it. Feel free to register for the next one. Next Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, we'll be going live again to LinkedIn and YouTube. If you're on YouTube, it's youtube.com/ and then the @ symbol, Leadeth. And on LinkedIn, we'll be going live. Just visit my LinkedIn profile. So to register for the sessions, to be a part of the sessions, won't cost you anything at all. Just value your expertise and presence on the calls. Head over to leadeth.io /masterclass. So it's leadeth.io /masterclass. I'll pop a link in below in the comments and chat. But thank you very much, everyone, and take care.